introduce the topic of today's talk. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, Lucy. So, welcome back or welcome to today's webinar. Thank you for the introduction. You can call me Tom or Thomas, both is perfectly all right. So, I'm really looking forward to talking about the practical use of AI tools. It might be the case that some of you guys have already joined my webinar a couple of months ago. So for me, one of the biggest challenges is always to try to come up with new tools, and I want to show you new things. But for me, one disclaimer is very important. It's not about the tool in general, of course. It's all about the pedagogical, methodological scenario. So it doesn't really matter what kind of tool it is. You need to know how you can possibly exploit this in your classroom. And this is what this whole webinar is all about. Many of these activities are based on my brand new book. The good news is most of the tools I'm going to present are free, and you will be given a link list as well with all the proper tools and many more, so to say. But without further ado, I would like to start straight off, but I would like to come up with a tiny little 30-second theoretical input, because I think it's so important that we just do not focus too much on the company or the tool itself. So it's very important for us as language teachers that we really try to focus on a couple of things. And that's why I would like to show you an approach. You probably know, I've already presented it, or I presented it a couple of months ago. In order to work with AI tools, you have to cook with fresh ingredients. So what do I actually mean by that? So for me, it's very important that when or if we use AI tools, they need to be fresh. And this acronym, using acronyms is super hip and sexy in ELT world, of course. These tools need to be fresh. That actually means they need to have free access. So most of the tools I'm going to present to you are free or have a free trial period, because I truly believe in the fact that you should try out these tools first of all without paying, because it might be the case that this tool is for you, but it also might be the case that this tool is not for you. And that's why it's it's very important that we always have to have free trials. The next thing I would like to talk about is most or all the tools I'm going to present are registration free. So the R in fresh stands for registration free. That actually means when you create a handout, a video, or a learning material, your learners do not have to register. That actually means they don't have to download anything, or they don't have to deposit their email address, because we all know the topic AI and digital technologies is also related to GDPR, and we have to be super, super, super sensitive when it comes to privacy of our learners. The E in fresh stands for educational licenses. So many of the tools offer pretty good educational licenses, which are rather inexpensive. But please don't get me wrong, I'm being super cautious with the whole idea that I can't always tell my teachers, yeah, buy a £5 for that tool, $10 for that tool, because life is expensive, of course. And that's why we really have to keep in mind that not all the tools need to be super expensive. The S stands for system agnostic. That actually means the tools I'm going to show to you are not dependent on any kind of software, any kind of operating system, because we all know that the digital world is extremely heterogeneous, and all of your kids and learners use different devices, different software. And that's why it's super important that you use tools that are system agnostic. And finally, before we really delve into practice, the H in fresh stands for handy for curriculum. That actually means we're not just using AI tools because they're super gimmicky and bling bling. We use AI tools in order to serve a serious curricular purpose. So don't get me wrong, I'm not kind of IT nerd under inverted commas, and I'm just showing you gimmicky app. All the scenarios are based on solid ELT foundations and theories, which you of course also sometimes see in the Resourceful Teacher series of Helbling, for example. So let's get down to business, so to say. And I would like to start with the very first tool, which is, to be honest, if I had a favorite billboard chart list, it would be still Google Notebook LM. And why am I showing this tool to you? You've probably heard of Google Notebook LM. If you have not, it's not a big deal. If you have, I might show you some new plugins. This is an application or a software application or a surrounding produced by Google, and it offers some really interesting approaches. And this is what I want to show to you. But I tell you what, I have not prepared anything in advance because I want to show you all the things will be carried out from scratch. So imagine you want to start a reading activity. And you know, reading is fun and we all love reading. And you think it might be a cool idea just to start your reading activity with a pre-reading activity by showing an image or an infographic about something. So imagine I'm from Vienna. I'm located in Vienna, Europe, Austria. And you know, we're going to do a reading text about the main sites, the beautiful sites of the beautiful city of Vienna. And before we actually read a text about Vienna from a course book or you created one yourself, I want my learners to scan an infographic so that they talk about what they can see as some kind of like pre-reading activity. And this is what I'm going to show to you. And I want to kill two birds with one stone here because I want to show you just a second. I need to share my screen. That usually takes a couple of seconds. I want to show you one of my favorite large language models or chatbots, which is GDPR safe, and you can also use it with your learners. So actually, you don't always have to use ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or Copilot. You can use that, but the thing is, I want to show you, and I'm posting the link into the chat. And don't worry, you will be given all the links the next day by Lucy. So there's going to be an email. And the thing is, I would like to show you one of my favorite chatbots, which is called DuckDuckGo AI Chat, and the link is in the link is in the chat. And this is a cool tool. Why is it cool? This chatbot is here, and it helps you to create search queries like with ChatGPT. But the cool thing is, it's GDPR safe, and it's not used for training purpose, and your data more or less is safe. I always say more or less because we can't always be super safe, but this is the safest chatbot there is. So you can actually use it with your young learners as well. But what I do is I just click create, a short reading text about Vienna. English language learners, let's say beginners level, okay? Simple vocab, include sites and directions of place, right? So I want to, do a bit of grammar, prepositions, directions, or direction, let's say prepositions of place, and so on and so forth. About 400 words, okay? So this is what I do. This is nothing revolutionary, I know, right? But I want to show this activity to you from scratch because I'm not a big fan of prefabricated activities and show you, this is how the way it's done. And I'm a big fan of showing this to you live. So what you have this text, okay? And I think it's rather simple. Here you can find different kinds of food. Naschmack, Giant Wheel, Ringstrasse. This is legit. So always check the information, of course, right? So what I do is I copy the text and then I go to Notebook LM, right? This is the website, Notebook LM. And what you can do, and this is what I love, you just click add sources. So you're sitting at home, you're stressed out, you don't know what to do with a reading activity. You just use this tool. And what you do, you just click copied text. Okay, that's the first thing. And then you click insert. I mean, you can also take a website, a cool website, or a YouTube video. It doesn't really matter. So what the system does is it scans your text. Fair enough, okay? But now what we can do is, and this is what I love, check out the options you have on the right-hand side. And Google has just updated 2 new plugins. That means functions of a tool. And what the function I love is the function of infographic, because we all know in infographics, they're so super cool for the language lesson. And I want to show this to you. I just click OK. The language is English. Okay, that's the first thing. And here I say, create a visually appealing infographic with focusing on the sights of Vienna based on the text. Also include, fun facts. Okay. And comprehension questions. Okay. So you see, what I do is I type in a very specific prompt. And that's why I disagree with a lot of people saying, we don't need prompting anymore. Prompting is the process of typing in something into the AI that you get output. You have to speak the ELT or TESOL lingo in order to come up with a good result. If you're not an experienced teacher, it doesn't really help you, all this kind of technology. So what I do is, first pro tip of the day, always copy your prompt, okay? Because the internet might break down and stuff like that. So always copy the prompt and then you click generate. Yeah. And this usually takes 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, because this takes some time. But in the meantime, I prepared one for you. This is the only prefabricated stuff here, because I want to save time and show you a lot of tools. Just give me a second. And the infographic has been produced. Just a second, and I'm sharing my screen. So Google AI, Google Notebook LA, creates that. And look at this. And this is the one that I created. Boom. This is pretty awesome, because this is a pre-reading activity based on the text I pasted with all the sites. And here I did not add the curious facts, but in 2 or 3 minutes, we're going to check out the original version. But look at this. And I can tell you, the visuals are perfect. This is how those sites look like. And this is just a perfect way to start a reading activity by asking the kids, okay, what can you see in the picture? Or study the picture, underline all the words you don't know, or describe the image in the top left corner. So you practice prepositions of place, and so on and so forth. And you see here, the AI is just a creative catalyst for your original task. And this, I think, is pretty beautiful if you create such infographics. And you can do this with anything. I had one colleague who pasted song lyrics into the infographic, and then the song lyrics are presented visually as an infographic. And I think that's pretty beautiful, I would say. And in the meantime, I'm trying to check out the original infographic. Just a second. Hold on. I'll be there. Da, da, da. And we're going to close that. Oops, it's there. Hold on, or not. Let me see. Here we are. Yeah, it's there. And this is the original one. So please give me that second. I'm sharing my screen. Because you remember my prompt? I said create an infographic, create curious facts, and comprehension questions. Look at this. I don't want to be too enthusiastic, because we always have to check back and stuff like that. But this is pretty great stuff, isn't it? Fun fact, the Ringstrasse, the big road, circles the city center and contains Vienna's most important buildings. It consists of, sometimes you probably have to do a bit of like a check, but in general, you can always like add another prompt in order to get this better and better. And this is pretty nice, don't you think? Right? This is a way how you could possibly explore that using an infographic. And you know what? Download this here. You just click on the download button and then you can use it. Very important, of course. Always try to be careful also with copyright issues. Sometimes, I mean, this was an AI created text. Don't try to avoid, taking a photo from the course book and uploading it, because we do have copyright issues here, but you don't have to do that because there's plenty of so many other possibilities, legal possibilities to create text and use it. You can do this with political speeches. I did this with upper secondary learners where we analyzed speeches of politicians and the content of the speech had been or has been presented in the infographic. I tell you what, I also have some of my students at university, they're all pre-service language teachers. They sometimes upload open access academic papers, which are pretty tricky to understand sometimes, and then they use this tool in order to have the infographic. And I think this is pretty nice. And I would like to show you another example how you can nicely use infographics or Google Notebook LM in order to create picture stories. This is so nice. Yeah. You can create picture books with your learners, which you can use in order to practice reading, pronunciation, and stuff like that. And I would like to give you an example as well. So imagine you want to create, or you're going to create a reading text, or you're going to write a reading text as well. Or what you can do, that's the most creative activity at all. Let your students write an adventure story, for example. So the task is write an adventure story. And then the thing is, right, you paste the adventure story with, of course, the approval of the learner into Google Notebook LM and let the machine or the AI create a picture story. And I would like to give you an example here, a prefabricated one, just for the sake of time management here. So you can create a story about an animal. I once did, I tell you what, last year I went back to school for 1 year because I truly believed in the fact, as a teacher trainer at university for more than 15, 18 years, I tell learners or my pre-service language teachers how they should teach. And I thought to myself, it might be a good idea to go back to school for some time again to get a reality update and checkup. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. Now I'm at university again. But I was at school last year and, things have changed. But, what hasn't changed was the whole idea that kids are super prone to creativity, right? And what we did is we wrote a story about an animal, a wild creature together. So the main idea was writing an animal story about animals in the wild, right? With a happy ending. And what we did is we wrote a story together, and the story was called Milo and the Heart of Courage. And I would like to show this to you. So what you can do is you just create a story with your learners, or you ask the AI to create a story. For me, it was very important that the story is adventurous, that it's full of adjectives, that it has a happy ending, but it's also super adventurous, right? So what I did is I copied this reading story, this reading text into Google Notebook LM. And then I said, okay, dear Google Notebook LM, and here's my prompt. Create a storybook cartoon book out of it. Very simple prompt. It doesn't have to be super sophisticated. And then Google Notebook LM creates a storybook. And this is the result. And I would like to show this to you. So it's the story Milo and the Heart of Courage. So this picture story is based on the text the students wrote together with me, or the AI wrote it. It totally depends on the setting, but this is what it looks like. Have a look. Just a couple of sentences. So Milo's forest home in a big green forest. I'm just browsing through, but just to see, it's super. I mean, the graphics is super cool, and the images match the sentence. And I think this is the truly most important thing when we're doing books, not just because they're super fun, so that the image always is semantically linked to the text. This is the whole idea. That's why we talk about multimodal learning here as well. So there's a solid scientific theory behind it. And then I said there should be suspense in the story. Yeah. Suddenly he hears a loud noise, and so on and so forth. Right. Milo is scared. He doesn't see his mother, and so on and so forth. And you see, it's a super cool story. And in the end, there's a happy ending. I mean, this is pretty cool. But on the other hand, I am, of course, also professional and always try to critically reflect on these technologies. And here, one could possibly say, what does this technology do with our learners' creativity? Right? I mean, we at least should ask the question, does it somehow hinder, does it somehow reduce our learners' creativity? Or is it even a catalyst for creativities of the learner? What's your impression on that? Just please quickly post it into the chat. Is it rather a chance for creativity, or is it an obstacle for the learners? Because the AI always produces everything, yeah. So the learners don't have to imagine stuff anymore, right? Okay, right. It's Google Notebook LM, Silvana. You just type in Google Notebook LM, Notebook LM, as you can see, and you get the link list. Thank you. I would also rather say that it's more or less a catalyst for creativity, because it's still you, the language teacher, that you can come up with a nice blend and balance when to use analog and digital technology. And thank you so much for your active participation here. I really appreciate that. So you see, this is what you can actually use, and it's perfectly all right, because you don't have to force your learners to register for Google and stuff like that. So you, of course, need to have a Google email address. That's the only thing. But this is a tool you can immediately try out the next day. And I really love the tool. And there's so many other things. And I would like to show you one final plugin, which I really think is super cool, because it changes the whole way how you can practice speaking with your learner at school, but also at home. What did you click to create the book? Ricardo, this is just a slide deck. You click slide deck. Christina, very great question. But what if they use AI to create the story? That's the thing. You can't avoid that, because as the first time you tell your kids to do creative writing, I mean, when they're at home, they always have the chance to do the writing by the AI. We can't really avoid that. But what we can do is we can show them how you can use AI in the classroom responsibly as a co-creation tool. But that needs a lot of expertise for the teacher to show them step by step what you can do, right? And there's plenty of good practical examples how you can use AI for co-creative writing. Also, I mentioned this in my book, but there's plenty of other stuff where this whole thing is explained. Sadat says, how could we engage learners aged 5 to 6 years old who are learning to read? That's, I would say you can nicely use this for 5 to 6 year olds as well, because you can nicely adapt the language level here. And what I think is, especially for 5 to 6 year olds, where they start to learn reading and writing, we have to be careful, of course, with this technology, but step by step, you can also create not only storybooks, but also like vocab flashcards with it, so that they just learn certain words or very important words, especially, when it comes to learning how to read and write. When we talk about phonics and stuff like that, you can use Google Notebook LM to create phonics flashcards in order to, work with sounds and stuff like that. Elizabeth says, depends on how we approach AI as a teachers. If we consider these questions you mentioned in advance, it is highly probable that we finally do with the tools is meaningful, and we will boost motivation as well as creativity. Word, Elizabeth. That's like, yeah, so good. Correct. Okay, so you see, and this is what I love about the chat. There's so many pedagogical questions, and this is what I love about using AI in ELT. Of course, technology is important, but it's not only about technology, it's about methodology. And that's why I would like to continue a bit. And I would like to show you one more thing, which I think is pretty nice. Just a second. And here we are. You know, I once did it with upper secondary learners. And you know, I love to use authentic material in the classroom. We all love to use authentic material, especially I love to use newspaper articles and stuff like that, because the big advantage here is that we always have current topics, breaking news and stuff like that. And then I usually use Google Notebook LM to create podcasts. We talked about this in my webinar in October, but I would like to emphasize one function which is pretty dope still, which is the function of audio podcast. So what you can do, what I did is I just pasted a link from a newspaper article, which was online about, Liverpool. Sometimes Liverpool, the football club is not that good at the moment and they're in the crisis. And that's why I would like to create a podcast. Yeah. And what I did is I asked Google Notebook AI LM to create a podcast about this newspaper article, right? But in a very entertaining way. And this is the results.
Instant panic stations, a full-blown...
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into, well, probably the biggest drama.
Hold on. I need to share the sound. Sorry. So now you're supposed to hear it. So that's the audio representation of the newspaper article.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into, well, probably the biggest drama rocking the football world this week.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about going from like zero to hero and then kind of straight back to zero all.
And I asked Google Notebook LM, make this entertaining and make it step by step, easily understandable. So you see, this is pretty interesting. That's a podcast about the newspaper article, but that's not everything. I can also interact with it. So I can pretend that this is a radio show, and this is what you can do in the classroom. The only thing you need to have is a laptop and Google Notebook LM, and then you ask one of your learners, would you like to join in as a listener to the radio show? And it works a little something like this.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We are jumping straight into, well, probably the biggest drama rocking the football world this week.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about, hey there, want to share your thoughts on this?
Yeah, hi, I'm a caller. Oops, sorry. Caller from Vienna, and I think it's not the biggest football crisis. Liverpool is not the most important club in the world. It's definitely Borussia Dortmund.
That is a fantastic point.
Welcome to the deep dive, and we absolutely love that energy.
That passion for Dortmund is clear.
And it absolutely highlights something we want to talk about.
What constitutes a biggest crisis is totally subjective.
It depends entirely on where you're listening from, right?
And what club you feel the most strongly about. Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
Oh my goodness. It's me again. I can see in the chat there's also like Tottenham and Manchester City fans. Can you believe it?
Welcome back to the chat.
That is fantastic. We love that.
We can absolutely believe it.
That is the beauty of this sport.
It just proves our point.
Football is about so much more than just the scores.
It's the passion, the community.
And the debate you see right there.
The conversation, the rivalry.
It's just a constant back and forth.
Every club has its own high stakes.
A crisis for a top.
So you see, of course, sometimes they really come up with tailor-made answers. Sometimes they're generic, but this is just cool. And I see there's also a la Madrid, Galatasaray. Very good. I love that. It's football is an international language, isn't it? So the thing is, this is super nice in order to practice interaction and turn-taking sequences, right? And this can also be done at home with your learners, unless they are old enough to use Google, of course. But this is an interesting approach you can actually use. We have a question here. At teacher training college, I encourage the students to use it to study using it so that they can eventually ask questions in case they haven't understood the concept. Awesome. Very good. And these are the things I love to read, more or less, that learners already know how they can use it. Yes, Ricardo, it's possible to use it to practice in other languages step by step. The interactive feature is available in English at the moment, but it will also be possible in other languages step by step. All right. Good. Thank you so much. I would like to continue with another tool. So speed here, I will give you a couple of minutes time at the end, of course, to ask the question. And you see, thank you, Teresa. You say that it's already working in French and Spanish. So that's like, it's super, super, super quick concerning development. Okay, then I would like to continue with another tool. So for me, it's very important that we focus on various things when it comes to using AI tools. Because I told you, sometimes the results and the products are rather generic sometimes. And we have to be careful that we do not create learning materials that are super generic and superficial. And in research, we sometimes talk about that, and that's a term which is called the AI slob. And actually, what you can see here, that's the AI slob, right? In technical terms, we call this the AI slob, which is actually some kind of like slimy thing produced by the AI that doesn't make a difference. It's rather indifferent stuff. It's very generic stuff. And this is the big threat of AI, that the AI produces a lot of generic average stuff. And it's your task as language teachers to make these activities as tailor-made as possible for your learners. And speaking of those tailor-made activities, I would like to continue with another tool I really like, and it's called To Teach AI. Have you ever heard of To Teach AI? Who has or who hasn't? Just a quick. Okay. Okay, so because when I see that the majority doesn't know the tool, so apologies for those who know it, but you probably know new features here. So and it's perfectly all right if you don't know it, but To Teach AI is probably a tool that tries to tackle this AI slop, because To Teach AI makes differentiation smooth. And I would like to show this tool to you. Just a second. And the cool thing here is To Teach AI is free for the first 5 to 8 materials you design. But I would like to show this tool to you because what it does is it also has a massive scaffolding function. And just give me a second. I have to change the settings here before I'm going to share my screen. So here we are, and the language. Let's skip that or change that to English. There we are. And here we are. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. Here again. So, and this is To Teach AI. And To Teach AI is just another AI dashboard like Magic School and all those other tools. But what I love about To Teach AI is that it has a massive feature of differentiation. So imagine you want to create something again. So let's do this. Let's go to DuckDuckGo AI chat and say, let's create a text about healthy nutrition. Let's create a healthy nutrition. Intermediate level, use a lot of technical terms and explain it to a teenager. Okay. So let's create a text first of all. Yeah. So carbohydrates, proteins, fats. Yeah. So that's perfectly all right. Yeah, that's rather intermediate. Mindful eating and so on. So what I do is I copy the text. Okay. That's it. And then I'm going to go back to Teach AI. And then you click on Content Tools. This is what you do. And then you just click here because the main idea is that you provide a text, upload a text, a YouTube video, and this is what you do. And you can see you just pasting your text here, okay? Healthy nutrition. And then what it does is the AI scans the text, and then we're going to do it like this. And this is what I love. You have various options here. You can create a classic essay, bingo card statements, and so on and so forth. That's all cool, right? But what about the whole idea that based on this text, right, we can also, let's say, create a WhatsApp chat so that you create a WhatsApp chat. I think like WhatsApp is also not, because I heard that WhatsApp is not that super popular in the States, for example, but WhatsApp is like a messaging service. And what you can do is you just click here. You know, WhatsApp is the favorite social media platform or the messaging platform in Austria. And what you can do is you create a WhatsApp story or chat based on your created text. And this is what it looks like. Just a second. Usually it's done in no time. And what you can see is, yeah, it creates a WhatsApp chat based on your text, but in a rather informal style. And this is pretty nice, I would say, because based on a formal text, it comes up with a chat thread. I mean, probably some of the kids would say, oh, that's cringe, right? But in general, I think I love the idea, don't you? It comes up with a very coherent thread, and you can print it out. And you know what you can do is you can see, read the WhatsApp conversation, and then you say, okay, let's create comprehension questions out of it. So what I do is I call this here, I love it, and then I click add to worksheet. So I'm going to call this AAA helpling, and then I'm going to create an activity. Yeah, right. You can work on register as well. And here we are. And then we can go back and we can do more things. You can even, and this is what I love, as a sentence or a discussion starter. You see, I'm a big fan of pre-reading, pre-listening, and pre-writing and pre-speaking activities. You can also say, okay, based on this reading text, you now create an Instagram post. And then you click create exercise. And then you wait a bit. And this is what I also love, because I love to create an Instagram post based on this text, you know, and then it says, fuel your body right, dive into the world of macronutrients. And, you know, this is pretty cool. It takes the images from Wikipedia, so we're pretty safe. And don't you think this is a cool discussion starter? And you can do this with literally any topic, so to say. Either you're taking a newspaper articles as a link, or you're pasting in a reading text. And I think this is pretty beautiful. But that's not the only thing you can do, because I would like to go back and show you now. Okay. You can also create an interactive video and so on and so forth. And another thing I would like to show to you is, imagine, just a second, you have a YouTube video about healthy nutrition. Okay, so what you do is you have the reading text and you find a YouTube video about healthy nutrition. I'm going to find you a video in no time. Just a second. Give me some time. I'm going to go to YouTube and find a video on healthy nutrition. Healthy nutrition.
Heute, am 5. Juni 2025, findet bereits schon.
So, healthy nutrition, simple English. And we're going to skip to that. And so I found a video on YouTube, and I'm going to go back, and I'm sharing my screen again because I had to type in my password. And here we are. So what you can do as well is, so hold on. There we are. we just say content tool, we go back to the homepage, and I'm going to click content tool, and look, I'm clicking the plus here, and I say, I'm pasting a YouTube video. And I just found a video about healthy nutrition, okay? And this is what I love about this tool, because of what it does is it takes the video, and then you can create an interactive video. So now the AI creates a video with built-in questions. And that has always been possible with a technology called H5P, but that was quite time-consuming. Now you just click on interactive video, and what you do and say is, okay, you say, I want to have like 5 questions in this video, or 6 questions. Let's do 5. And then you're going to say, create task. And this is what I love, because I tell you why. And then I'm going to share this link with you guys, because you can immediately see that it is registration free for you guys, so you don't have to register for that. So the AI just scans the video and creates built-in comprehension questions. Just a second, usually takes 1 minute or something like that. In the meantime, I'm checking the, right. So you see the video's here. And now when the learner watches the video, and I'm gonna
put this veggies on the center for her. Now, these might seem like very simple, very basic tips, but it's these little tiny shifts done consistently over a period of time,
and so on and so forth. And I'm going to go
consider, and that we really can't overlook, is that
the first step to simplifying healthy eating is to eliminate all your favorite food. That's false, I would guess, right? So you see, the AI comes up with questions that are related to the video, and now the learners can watch the video and answer built-in questions. And this is pretty cool, I would say. And the nice thing is, I'm just clicking add to worksheet. Right? And now imagine, I created a couple of activities, and I want to share it with you with my students now. And this is what I love about To Teach AI. So what I do is, I'm finished with my worksheet, right? And then I'm going to go back, and then I have my worksheets here. Sorry, I'm going to click on that. There we are, my content. And this is the class. And what you can do is you click on it, and then you can share it. Can you see that? Share. So this is the WhatsApp activity and the video. So what I do is I click share the exercise, and then I have various options. And this is what I love. You can share it only the worksheet, and you can share it and show the responses, right? So what I want you to do now is, if you want to, you can click on this code here, or you scan the code if you want to with your smartphone, and you're supposed to have access to this interactive worksheet. So try to do that. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. And then on your smartphone, you have access to the WhatsApp chats. And if you click the green arrow, you can go to the video and can answer the question. And this, again, is the approach, as I told you, of registration free. Can you do you remember when we talk about the fresh approach? It's registration free. You don't have to register for anything here. And the cool thing is about To Teach AI, you have five activities for free. And Ariana, it's perfectly all right. If you don't have a smartphone, I can also send you, or I can send the learners the link, the hyperlink. Can you see that here? I'm going to show this to you. Hold on. Sharing my screen again. So you can also send this link here. So I'm pasting this link here, and I'm posting this into the chat here. All right. And that's not everything. So my final thing, before I'm going to show you another tool in the end, of course, at the end. The thing is, what you can still do is, and this is what I love, with this worksheet, you can also click on scaffolding. It has an integrated scaffolding function that actually means the AI tries to scan the activities and comes up with a lesson based on scaffolding and, guided teaching. You are the facilitator. How does that look like? I'm going to show you in a second. So at the moment, the AI is rendering the results. So we're going to wait for that a bit. Here we are. And we're done. Can you see that? It now, here it's in German, unfortunately. I don't know. Usually it's supposed to be in English because I have English settings. But what it does is it gives you various stages, step by step, what you can do. So it says step 1, watch the visual inputs, and so on and so forth. And it gives you a lesson plan, and it even tells you what you can do with the activities, right? So you don't even need to understand German here, just to show you, it gives you step-by-step explanations how you can use this worksheet in the classroom. It even comes up with writing activities at the end, and so on and so forth. And I think this is pretty beautiful and nice, so to say, when it comes to that. And you can immediately use that for free. Of course, when you really get addicted to it. This is one of the tools I love to pay on a monthly subscription, but you can cancel it anyways. And I can tell you what, I don't know what like the tax rules in your country are, but usually buying those tools as a teacher are tax deductible as well. And this is what you can do. There is a question. Would you send the link so I can join? Yeah, right. Of course. I posted the link here again. So just a second. I will do this. Just a second, Ariane. We'll do this. No worries. And here we are. Here we are. Good. So you see, I would say that's a pretty solid tool, which you can use here. Right. So that's also one of my favorite tools as well. But then I would like to show you one more tool before we're going to have final questions, of course. And just give me a second. And this is the one. Hold on. It's Brisk Teaching. I always present it because it always has new features and it always just develops. And this is completely free. You can pay for the premium account, but I don't need it because like the premium, the basic account is free. Who has heard of Brisk? Elizabeth has. Okay. Yeah. And I would like to show this tool to you because it really makes a difference when we talk about differentiation. You remember? I was talking about the AI slob, about, the generic stuff. Everything looks the same. We need to personalize stuff with AI. That's the pure magic of it. Thank you for your answers here. And I would like to show this tool, and it's pretty cool. This is right. You don't know, Adriana. That's perfectly all right. You don't have to know that. It's not a matter of age. I think it's the reason you're here is a matter of positive mindset, and this is what I love. Yeah, it's not related to age, and I really celebrate the fact that you joined this webinar here, because we need teachers like these that are open-minded, but also critically reflective on various activities. That's why kudos to you here. Okay, so here's the thing. This is what we're going to do. This is what you can see here. So just a second. I need to reframe the sharing screen a bit so that it's a bit better for you guys. Okay, so it's called Brisk Teaching. And the only thing you need is a Chrome browser. Yeah, I know this is like a thing. Google Chrome browser. We have Safari, Firefox, Edge, and please download the Chrome browser because you need it. Because what you do is you install a plugin. I'm going to send you the link how this works. It's just like downloading a plugin. It's like an app for Chrome. It's super simple. You just click on it, install, and then you see this button here. And that's the that's the brisk teaching button. So imagine you talking about authentic materials. I don't know. Let's go to a newspaper article, to a newspaper site. I don't know. I'm just picking The Guardian. I'm just going to go to sports. And you know, what is the big problem of authentic material? We know that sometimes the level is a bit too high for our, beginner learners and so on and so forth. But that's the cool thing about brisk teaching. So Alcaraz flicks on Genius switch to put himself 2 matches from Curious Slam. So we love tennis, and we know it's the Australian Open, and you want to do something current in the classroom, and that's why we're using authentic material. So what I do is I just click on this link. Okay, of course, this is a bit annoying with the ads, but this is the way how they survive the newspapers. So that's why I'm not adding any ad blockers here, right? So the thing is, I know this text is about Alcaraz and his winning streak, but I know that this text is a bit too tricky for my learners. So what you do now is you just click, after you have installed the Brisk Teaching plugin, you just click on Brisk Teaching, and then this opens up. It says create something, and this is the function I love, you guys. It says change the reading level. So what the AI does is it assesses the reading grade. And here it says 9th grade, but based on L1 level, right? We always have to keep in mind that this is L1 level. So actually, let's say I want to do this. I want to change this reading text into very simple English. Let's say 2nd grade English. Okay, that's probably lower secondary level, beginner's level, or a bit like pre-intermediate or whatever. But the thing is, I just click change reading level because I want the AI to change this text and make it simpler. And now this is where the magic happens. It still refers to the original text, and I think this is super legit, and this is perfectly all right. So there is the reference, the original article, but look at this. It drastically changes the level of the text, but it still sticks to the content of the text. And how beautiful is that? So now you can also use authentic material and nicely adapt it to your learner's needs. Don't you think that this is pretty nice? And the cool thing is, when I say, okay, this is a bit like too short, this text, I can say, okay, make it longer. So I click make it longer, and the text will stick to the same level, but it will be a bit longer, because if you have groups that are where the attention span is a bit higher, you can do this. Don't you think this is cool? And that's not everything, right? You could also translate it. You can create a quiz and so on and so forth. So you see, this is a way how you can work, but that's not everything. What else can you do with this tool? And I think this is pretty nice. We're still at the level here, but you can also say create. And here, and this is what a feature I love. You can also create a podcast. So that what you do, you just click on it, and then you say next, and that's my final activity and task for today. And you will get more and more links, of course. You get even more links with tools for that. So I just click brisket, and then I say, okay, 1 or 2 minutes, 2nd grade English, and I say, make it entertaining and fun. Include fun facts. And while this is producing, Elizabeth asked a perfectly legit question. GDPR and safety, which settings for extensions do you recommend? I used to have it, but uninstalled it later. Is there a limit of the length of the text? Well, when it comes to GDPR here, you as a teacher create learning materials, right? And you as a teacher are always responsible for the stuff you do. But here, I'm just using open access materials with solid references. So I would not say that the GDPR aspect here is violated, because we're not using any kind of data from the kids, right? It's like something else if we force our kids to get themselves a Google account and stuff like that, right? And I think this is very important here to say, and I love the question here. And there is a limit to the text length. I think it's 10,000 characters or something like that in the basic account, Elizabeth. Excellent questions. And then you have the podcast, and let's check it out. Let's listen to it.
Hi, everyone. Today we're talking about a super cool tennis player named Carlos Alcaraz.
Did you know he's only 22 years old and already the number
Here's
one
the
tennis
curious
player
fact.
in the whole world?
Wow, that's like being the best at something before you're even a grown-up.
In his recent match against Alex de Minaur, Carlos did something amazing.
And so on and so forth. So you see, this is what you can nicely use, and you can even download the podcast, right? I would not like share it publicly. I would just upload it on the learning platform of your school or something like that. But in general, this is also like a very quick and dirty tool you can immediately use in order to come up with tailor-made activities. This is where I believe AI can make the difference. Right. It's 3 to 6, and I would like to stop here because I would like to give you time for 2 or more questions if there are questions, because in the last minute I would like to hand over to Lucy because she will talk about like how you get the links and stuff like that. So any questions here, you guys? Right. Good point. Time saving, very important aspect. Yeah. Also, you never underestimate the aspect of time saving as well. I totally agree with you guys. Maria, you can use it with any kind of topics because you're the expert as well, and you know where to get reliable resources, and you know where to get open access resources when it's about, you know, medical English or academic purposes or ESP or even for medical English. You know, I would not use AI as a standalone technology. I would always use it in combination with a competent, interculturally aware language teacher who knows about the demands of their learners. Yes, of course, Javier. The Common European Framework of Reference works perfectly all right with most of the tools. Yeah, thank you for the feedback, you guys. So if there are no more questions, I would like to show the final slide here, and I would like to hand over to Lucy again. And I would like to say thank you so much for your active participation and for your